So we've had a couple of people asking about this. Let's have a little powwow about the possibility of Valérien Ismael going from Barnsley to West Brom. We've got this current ridiculous amount of open jobs, don't we, in the Premier League? Spurs, Everton, Palace, all open, aren't they? And then you've got West Brom, who are a relegated team from the Premier League with that year one parachute payment coming as well. We've also had at West Brom a big link with Chris Wilder and Luke Dowling, I believe is his name, in the sort of sporting director type role, has left the club. So the conjecture I have heard is that Wilder was Dowling's man and the owners weren't interested, and they now want to go for Big Val, Valérien Ismael of Barnsley. Ismael, we are led to believe, has a £2 million get out clause, compensation, whatever you want to call it, if whilst under contract he leaves Barnsley and goes anywhere. Now, would this be a good move or not is what everyone's trying to figure out. So on Ismael, he came into Barnsley in October, I think, last season, and they were fantastic under him and had that big winning streak as well towards the end of the season. But don't be under any illusions. Barnsley's playoff finish was not built on one big 7-8 game winning streak. They were knocking out the 1.8, 1.9 points per game for the longest time. So Ismael is very highly thought of now, isn't he? Plays this 3-4-3 formation where the centre halves come all the way up to halfway. The wing backs literally are so far ahead of the midfielders you wouldn't believe it. Three strikers all pressing. A couple of central midfielders trying to sort of follow on to the play. Very aggressive team, very brave team. Direct team will get the ball forward, will stick a long throw in, but kind of quite thrilling to watch. It's a very risky style, but Barnsley played it so well and ended up finishing 5th in the Championship. And remember, that being Barnsley, who were in League One, then survived in stoppage time on the last day of the 1920 season, and then in a league where we know all about the inequality of the wealth distribution matched with FFP, that makes it rather hard for teams that don't have certain financial advantages to make a challenge like that. So more power to Barnsley for being able to do it. Now, does that mean Valérien Ismael would be able to do a similar thing at West Brom? Because there's big differences, isn't there? Obviously, Barnsley, and let's get off this data Moneyball nonsense. Unless you can tell me what data they're using, everybody's using data. And Moneyball was 20 years ago. And Moneyball was about the first people to use data, getting an advantage and getting undervalued players. Everybody does it now. So let's forget that, but still say that Barnsley do recruit very, very well. And they recruit with good imagination, don't they? Going to this Austrian market. We had Helic, that was a Polish signing. Daryl DK on loan from the USA. A couple of players in from MK Dons, Norwich Reserve. You know, they're very innovative in their recruitment. And it's a very different type job than working for I think it's the Chinese owners at West Brom, who frankly have a year one parachute payment and will want another 100 million quid TV money via a promotion to the Premier League. So the question is, would the Valérien Ismael style work for a club that is going to be keeping some players who are very highly paid on Premier League contracts, and at a club that expects promotion? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. You would imagine if the players bought into it, and that being be very brave with your position on the pitch, get yourself incredibly fit, follow the pressing triggers and stick to the plan, you'd imagine it should work, shouldn't it? I mean, football isn't played on paper, it's played on grass, isn't it? But take a manager who did this with this club, send him to a club that's got way better resources than said club, and should all add up to some success, shouldn't it? So if he does go, I suspect he would want, particularly Alex Mowatt, whose contract's up, and he might be immediately looking at Callum Styles or Callum Britton as well. You'd wonder whether he'd want Barnsley players to go across with him. That'll all come out in the wash. And can he get the West Brom players to buy into what he's going to do? Let's be honest, Big Sam seemed to get them to buy into his ideas after Slaven Bilic was there. So it's a very interesting thought, isn't it? Now, what would it mean for Barnsley? I don't know. Sometimes and look, come on, let's be real about this and let's not get patronised. In championship terms, there are, quote, bigger clubs by Barnsley. And I mean, by bigger, I mean clubs with a larger fan base and larger turnover and larger income. So sometimes when a less fancied club against the odds has a good season, their manager is pillaged, all the players have to get sold, and, you know, there's a big trend down afterwards. This does seem to keep happening to Barnsley, doesn't it? Because they came up under Paul Heckingbottom, and you remember, who would it have been? Conor Hurahan, Winnall, James Bree. They seem to lose all of their players in one hit, didn't they? And then when they came up the next time as well, they sold Kiefer Moore, Adam Davies, Ethan Pinnock, Liam Lindsay as well, I think. So they're not... they're used to having to recycle, and they lost Gerhard Struber, who we all thought was going to be a great manager for them at the start of the season. So they appear quite durable, Barnsley, but how many times can you repeat over and over again, losing good players and moving on? They're certainly a well-run club with a good identity. So, yeah, it's a very, very interesting link. The second half's about to start, so I better get off that one. Let's see if anyone's got any comments on it quickly before the second half starts. Do you think Ismael will be more expansive? No, I don't think that's what they're taking him for, I reckon. Anybody else here? West Brom have contacted Barnsley and asked to talk to Ismael. So, yeah, looks very, very interesting, doesn't it? Right, that's my thoughts on Valérien Ismael possibly going to West Brom. And, of course, we have no solid information or confirmation on this.